Hey guys, welcome to episode 95 of 4PlayerAnimecast. It is the 2nd of June. We are 8 or 9 episodes into the season. A little bit, most of the main stuff we've covered, but now we're just gonna scrape
Wait,
the
are we
remains
online?
we're gonna scrape out the remains and then move on to our summer preview in the next episode. But before that, we'll just, again, as I said, just cover what's kind of left. Maybe some stuff that people might have talked about, but we're just like, maybe we should watch this and see how it goes. And yeah, again, I am your host, Spire, and with me are my usual crew, the Motley Crew. Dark, how are you doing?
Doing great, man.
What have you been up to?
I've been keeping up with everything as usual. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Started Wotakoi.
Mhm.
Also started Dragon Pilot
Okay.
for this episode, and that's pretty much it. Hinamatsuri continues to be like my favorite show this season.
Nice. Okay, so that's good. Toast, what have you been up to these past 2 weeks?
I forgot to log into DFL before the podcast started, so now I have to listen to you guys for 2 hours.
Alrighty then.
Because when I started up, there's this big noise, and I can't do that right now. So, darn.
Okay, what have you been up to? Can we talk about this, or have you just not?
You guys heard the news about PUBG suing Fortnite? That's some stuff. Am I right, you guys?
It's really
All
anime.
right. Thanks, Toast.
Topical.
Nier, what have you been up to?
Eating pasta,
Nice.
praying that
Is
the
it
season
spaghetti?
ends as soon as possible. This season,
What pasta is it? It's probably more interesting than what I've been watching.
I don't know. I don't know what
Okay.
these are called.
Yeah, I get. That's probably
Nier,
more
you
interesting
seen
than what I've
that?
been
You seen
watching.
that meme
Noodles,
with Mario and the
noodles,
bear?
cheese, and meat. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
This season
as
fucking sucks, dude.
it is very okay. So I will still say that when I looked at the premises themselves, like the spread, wasn't like terrible.
Is
But
it? Wait,
like
hold on. Is it premises or premises? Is premises the
Premises.
plural?
Premise.
Yeah, premises.
Okay.
So I still maintain that when I initially saw the premises, they weren't like a terrible bad spread. Like it wasn't like horrific, but like it petered out very quickly. Like a lot of the writers were just like very lazy with the premises, or just the adaptations didn't hold up. So very unfortunate. But I've been kind of going here and there, kind of keeping up with some of the stuff that I covered in previous episodes. Watch one new one that I'll be talking about, unfortunately.
Oh,
And I've been keeping up mainly again with my light novel binge again, stuff like that. I've been meaning to really get back into visual novels. There's been a huge, there's been such a huge visual novel backlog created just in the past even 2-3 weeks. Like random shit coming out. I'm just like, oh my god, I have to read through all of this. But real life has also been beating me down a little bit, so that's that.
oh.
But anyways,
Speaking of light novels, I remembered what I did these 2 weeks.
what?
I read through all of Battle Through the Heavens from chapter 900.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
What,
You told me
the-
about fucking reading through 1,650 chapters or so.
It was 1,648 chapters. I started from
Why?
900 because that's where the manga was currently at. So I was like, I might as well read it. And it took me 12 days to read 700 chapters.
Why? Just why? Honestly.
Because I wanted to read the rest of it. I don't want to wait 5-10 years for the manga. Who has time for that?
Shake my head.
Apparently you do.
Anyways, I think. Well, okay. So again, I've been trying to get through stuff, but maybe I'll get back on a little bit more in the future. Meanwhile, I'm still nagging some people to play either Muzukashii or in the case of Nier right here, play fucking Eiyu Senki.
Whatever.
But yeah, that's that, and I'll cover that in just a bit. But anyways, we should probably start off with Toast.
Hello.
What do you want to cover?
I forgot to change the title
What?
of the podcast. Why didn't anyone remind me? It still says episode 94.
It wasn't that.
This-
We told you what episode it was. You asked what the episode is. And Spider said 95.
Oh my god.
Well, give me a snappy title in the next 5 seconds before I
How
start.
about
Ugh.
retarded the podcast? How's that?
Oh yeah, what did I watch? So you guys heard that news about PUBG suing Fortnite, right? For the Battle Royale genre or whatever?
Sure? Yes.
Did you know the
Yes.
Battle Royale genre was first originated in Japan with the movie Battle Royale?
Do you know humanity has roots in Japan?
I thought it was Africa, according to Resident Evil 5.
Anyways, go on.
But yeah, I watched, what is it? What's its full name? Sword Art Online Alternative Gun Gale Online.
Okay.
It's kind of like if PUBG meets anime. Or is it Fortnite? No, not Fortnite. Actually, it's more like Counter-Strike. You know,
It's a finite sec game. It's not like a semi-continuous or continuous like thing like a battle royale or like an MMO kind of thing or
Spire,
sandbox rather.
who's that
Right?
that one blue-haired...
You didn't
virtual-
answer my question.
Who is that blue-haired virtual YouTuber, and why does she play
Blue
FPS?
hair?
Yeah.
Yo, are you having like a schizophrenic fucking meltdown right now?
What's the most
Like, what is happening?
what is the most popular FPS they're playing in Japan right now? Is it?
FPS? I wouldn't know. But I don't keep up with popular.
I remember that one
FPS
virtual
players.
YouTuber with blue hair, short blue hair, who was really good at FPS.
Short blue hair. The only virtual YouTuber I know with blue hair is Chirodu or whatever or whatever it is. Or
Isn't Gun Gale Online an RPG though? Anyway,
No, it's a
The shoot.
isn't it an MMORPG FPS?
It's like a sandbox, right? It's not like a semi-finite like battle royale or semi-continuous like battle royale.
No, it's not like a deathmatch. I don't
But-
think.
Yeah,
There are
yeah,
death
yeah,
matches,
that's what I'm
but
saying.
but Spire in that one episode.
So it's just like Counter-Strike, right? Like what do you?
No.
No.
Encounter no Gun Gale.
It's
yeah.
just like Destiny 2.
I'm so
Shit.
confused about what Toast is talking about. Like, okay, Dark, can you tell me what Gun Gale is like?
It's like
It's an
Counter-Strike
MMORPG.
PUBG meets Destiny meets Halo.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah,
remember-
it's like if you go and play the Sword Art Online Gun Gale game on Steam.
Okay.
There you have it. It's
Don't-
like that.
Don't you remember when
Sponsor.
Sinon fell into that dungeon and she fought that boss for 3 hours, making sure to
Oh,
conserve all her
it's
ammunition?
the same game as the actual gun like arc of Sword Art Online, right? But it's just like
Yeah.
Okay, you know.
Yeah, so it's still the MMORPG shit.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, but you can hunt monsters for fancy rare guns, so I
Yeah,
guess
just
it,
like-
yeah, just like Counter Strike and
PUBG.
PUBG, huh?
Oh my god, I'm fucking stressed out already. What's happening? Alright, Toast going.
the similarity lies with these tournaments they're holding. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, I mean the tournaments are the
What
most
are they
important
called
thing,
again?
but the names don't matter.
Yeah, they
Um,
do.
Damn it.
Because- In the current episode, there was 7 teams that made up 42 people, and it was against the main character's team, which is only 2 people. So they gotta do 42 versus 2, just like Fortnite and PUBG when you can actually join teams, right? I don't play this game.
Yeah, PUBG with the 42-man squad.
I wish.
You know.
It's not 42 man. It's 7 teams working specifically against this 2-man team, so it's 42 people in total.
That is nothing like that.
I don't think that's
Nothing
how it
like
is.
PUBG at all. That actually could not be further than what PUBG is like.
What?
But go on.
Remember when the goal of PUBG was everybody just kills 2 people?
Just over and over again. What's happening right now? All right, Toast. Can we get a short
It's
synopsis
this
of
Fun Gale Online's about this giantess woman who's like 6 feet.
She's not a giantess, but okay.
6 feet is
Oh
really
my
tall for a
God.
Japanese woman. When they're like 5 feet, so she's like 2 feet taller than everyone else, and she's like, I don't want to be tall anymore. Then her friends like, want to play some VR MMOs? Remember Sword Art Online where it nearly killed everyone? And she's like, okay. And then the thing is with these VR MMOs, because they're all like connected under the same system, which is like that stagnates technology, because all these MMOs run on the same engine. So you have like this
What the fuck are you talking?
you have this one universal login for like every game. So she's all like, can I make a short character? And her friend's like, no, you gotta go through the randomized character creator. And she's like, darn. And then the first game she starts off with Alfheim, but it made her super tall, so she was like, no. So she quit that game. And then she logged into another VR MMO and logged in.
So this is the background explaining why she got the GGO in the first place,
And then
right?
she turned into some big fat old dude, and she was like, ew. And then she logged off for that. Then she continued this 37 times.
Isn't that not a thing in Sword Art though? Like, why does she have to be a random character?
This is after Sword Art, where
Yeah, but it's the same games. That was never a thing.
Yeah.
After Sword Art Online was
Didn't
shut
have
down.
a random character creator.
They all look like themselves in the game.
No, Asuna has blue hair when she's a sylph. It doesn't look like her at all.
Okay, well, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
She looks exactly the same in Gun Gale.
It wasn't random though.
Yeah, the point was it wasn't random. I mean,
it was random to a point.
That's not,
Actually,
okay,
yeah, what wasn't it in Alfheim Online where Kirito was like, I don't care, I gotta save Asuna, let's just hit randomize, and then it looked just like him.
So that's why the
Yeah,
entire
but
game
it
was
wasn't
great.
mandatory randomized. He had the option to customize his character.
Can we?
Apparently, that's what it was like for this one. Maybe
Yeah, that's fine. We can just. chalk
maybe
it
it's
off to
because they
writing
realized
things.
that afterwards, where in a game where you could have someone kill you, they're like, maybe it's not a good idea to have your character
Maybe it's
look
not
just
a good
like
idea
you.
to have people kill each other in game.
Maybe it's not a good idea to have your face look exactly like you.
Oh, okay, now we're
Yeah, but it was. I thought the point was that they made their characters look like.
No.
Whatever.
What I'm saying is that instead of blaming the game makers on making your face exactly like you, they should just have a customized thing. But then it would be explained by the characters not being stupid and not making their face exactly like how they are in real life, so they don't get fucking stabbed or some shit, right? But
Where was I? Anyway, after the
This is
37th time, she logged into Gun Gale Online, and she was like, hey, I'm this short lolly girl, hooray! I can finally play a VR MMO. And that's where the story starts.
Okay,
Damn,
so
I know that feeling.
Can I ask questions kind of leading into sort of the depth of this series? Spin-offs tend to have a tendency, like with very, very rare exceptions, to kind of have a shallower depth, right? Because they're covering, not necessarily because of just like some sort of culture or anything like that, but logically because they're covering a smaller facet of the world, right? They're trying to extend a piece of the world to a greater extent. So while what it covers might be more like there might be trivia, more detail, the actual depth of the story of how far the characters are going to go and stuff like that is not comparable to the original. So I guess what I'm asking is, how do they deal with that? Does this, I guess, series kind of just treat it like a kind of regular spinoff where they're just like, yeah, we don't really care about like really going into depth or doing anything? We're just gonna romp around in this game and do whatever, or how do they treat it? How do
Bro,
they?
let me counter your question with another question. Do you know who Keiichi Sigsawa is?
Uh, fuck. Isn't he the guy behind Kino no Tabi?
Yeah, does Kino no Tabi have a lot of interesting tidbits about guns?
I would not know. I only read the beginning of that. So,
Did you know the author's name, his pen name, is derived from the Sig Sauer, which is a firearms manufacturer? He likes guns
yeah.
and motorcycles. Well, that's why Kino no Tabi had one gun and a motorcycle. But
Okay.
in
I think it
this,
had more than one gun, but all right.
but
But
in this
I
one,
mean,
this he was like, "Hey, I like Gun Gale Online. I like guns. Let me write a light novel about it." And then what's the main
well, I mean,
what's the
that
guy's name
aside,
who
did
did
he?
originally did Sword Art? Uh,
Kirito.
why am I blanking on his name? Reiki
So
Kawahara's like, okay, and then that's what this is.
yeah,
It's
but that doesn't answer my question. I mean, you said this happened. Did it succeed? I mean, he could be writing. There can be a bunch of people like Keiji Sugzawa can be writing a really good series in Kino no Tabi, but still fail in writing, a spin-off of a
there's
relatively
not
mediocre
much
series
character
like Saredo.
development in this series. It's about this little girl who's actually
So
a
it's like a
college
romp,
student,
right? Yeah.
and then she's like, yeah, I'm gonna shoot everyone with P-chan, and then her friend online who's actually an idol is like, hey, let me introduce you to this game, and she's like, okay, and then she introduces to this old dude named M, who's like this gun otaku, who's like, hey, you see those guys jumping from the building? That's called rappelling. There's a skill in Gun Gale that lets you rappel, but
So
you can't
there's a
do it at
lot.
this speed. They must be pros in real life. And she's like, oh no, how can we beat them? And she's like, and he's like, shut up and do what I say. And then they beat them. And she's like, wow, you're so cool. And he's like, yeah, I know.
So essentially, there's a lot of trivia and a lot of sort of rocking around, action kind of shooting stuff, but there isn't a lot of a slower character development, is what you're
Not
saying.
real, not that I paid attention to.
Uh,
It's
so
like it's basically taking all the good
so
parts of
so,
Gun
so
Gale Online and expanding on it. There's no weird death bullet arc in this one where you guys know what the death bullet arc is, right?
Yeah. It was where they thought that there was a death bullet, but really it was people walking around fucking just blowing people's brains out after,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's like
exactly.
if
Like in
this
real life
dude
or
shoots
whatever.
you with a bullet in the game, his brother in real life stabs you with this medicine that makes you have a heart attack. So it's like that's a really convoluted way of
I mean,
trying
they
to
could just
PK
kill them.
someone.
Yeah, they could just kill them regularly, but yeah.
Well, that's because the dude was a survivor of Sword Art Online. He's like, I wanted to die or something. So he's like, I love Sword Art Online and it's permadeath. Let me recreate that in real life.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's interesting that um he the Kingdom Tabi writer came in for essentially a project of love. Like I mean, he is apparently known for doing stuff like this, like doing more like spin-off kind of stuff, or like writing afterwards or whatever stuff like that. But um, he obviously wanted to do this because it was attached to a bigger series that he could go off on and it would be seen by a lot of people, and also it was about guns, right? And he could kind of have flexibility to do kind of whatever he wanted because it was in a game. So it's a very interesting way to create this otaku trivia kind of series from a spin-off that you kind of wouldn't expect it to be in a place like this. Like if I was thinking about a gun trivia show kind of stuff, I wouldn't have expected it from Sword Art Online. Like even if I knew about GGO, I wouldn't have expected it necessarily. So it's a very interesting way to develop a series, I think.
Like the only character development that I specifically remember is like after the main character Len, the pink-haired little girl, she wins the first tournament. She's like, I'm over my complex now, and then she cuts her hair, and I'm like, okay. And then her friend, the one that introduced her to the game, she's all like, oh, I wanted to be in Sword Art Online, but I didn't get into the beta testing like Kirito. So she was like, I wanted to be in the death game too. And apparently they think that she's going to commit suicide if she dies in the game. I'm like, what the heck is this?
Okay,
So they're like, well, I'm like, why? What's with all these people thinking that Sword Art Online was cool? Like 10,000 people died. Why do you think it's cool if you died? In the other
I mean
MMO
that
games?
part is
Maybe they're just so
fucking
cool they
Sword Art
want to die.
Yeah, that part is just sort of online fluff. But I can see that. I mean, like Toast, from your explanation, I can actually see like part that, like the general structure of it is actually like worth watching, even if the whole the story skeleton of it, like the parts that are like, oh, sort of alive, we were stuck in MMO. That part's like mediocre. But like what you're explaining to me is a lot more appealing than I would have given credit.
It's definitely more appealing than the original Gun Gale Online series because it's in this one. It's kind of like a reverse Kirito, where what's her name? Like Pito, whatever. She's the Kirito because she's wearing black and she's like a pro player. And then the main character is Asuna, where she's like, I don't know anything about games, but I'm gonna learn and then become really good.
Right.
So it's like, okay.
Okay, I mean, like for sure, like through this discussion, I've actually convinced that like maybe later in down the road, I might actually check out Gun Gale Online, like the spin-off anime, or it's light novel original, right? Or if it does get translated.
This is a light novel original.
Yeah.
So is Sao. That's a light novel original.
Thank you, Toast.
Does Kirito show up?
Yeah.
This apparently takes place when they're doing stuff in Alfheim. I think this is the Rosario arc. So they're not. So they're there.
The reason why they couldn't have Kirito is because if Kirito was in it, they would have all been attracted to him. They're like, oh my god, who's that sexy guy?
Cool.
That is literally exactly how it goes in in the game. So yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, the main character Len, she only plays Gun Gale because she gave up the other 36 games. So unlike Kirito, who plays three? Is it three? Gun Gale, Alfheim, then that one dumb one, Rosario. I don't remember.
I don't know. Yeah, gone.
He plays multiple games, so he can't be playing this at the same time.
But yeah, that's true. But yeah,
my favorite character is Pete-chan, even though he died. Then he came back, and then he came back again.
Okay. But yeah, I definitely think like I was like Dark Knight been doing with regards to hearing about Gun Gale Online. I've been pooping on it pretty hard, but I can definitely see why now, at least now, like why people might want to check it out or watch it or do whatever.
People like this one because there's no Kirito self-insert character.
Kirito is
a likable character.
Here, in my opinion, like having Kirito like in like show up is
I hope he never shows up.
He's a problem, but he's also the symptom of the problem, if you know what I mean. Like he is the embodiment of what is wrong with the general idea of how Sword Art Online was built, but not everything can be attributed.
I mean, even Reiki Kawahara stated, if you read like the ending excerpt from the author from the first Sao light novel, he even said, "This one's to all the people who were never a good player in MMOs." so he knows
Uh,
exactly what's up. He
to be
himself
fair,
he
and I
himself
don't,
was
and
a mid-level player in an MMO, but he was all like, "I wish I was a pro," and that's what started Sword Art Online.
I'm gonna be honest. Okay, look. Not to like derail this conversation too much, but
It's
it's
been
like
derailed. Like, I don't even know. Have I said anything relevant yet? It's been like 20 minutes.
There were a few bits and pieces in there.
come on. We were talking about Gale like maybe an hour ago, but 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 the thing is, to be fair to the people that watch Sword Art Online to an extent, or like other power fantasies or whatever. I don't think the idea of power fantasy, like valuing power fantasy as like something to watch, is necessarily a terrible thing in and of itself. But the problem is when everything around it is very like the foundation is very like fragile and not very good, then that speaks to a problem in the series that needs to be addressed, obviously, right? And it was just never addressed as far as online, and that was, I think, what made it very unfortunate.
But Spire, isn't this the Fate Zero of SAO? Where
The fantasy
where the spin-off has better material than the original series?
dark. Well, actually, I'd actually well, fucking the funny thing is, it's like I was thinking of when we were talking about when I initially brought up the question of better or sequels, or sorry, not sequels, spin-offs, right?
I
We're
mean, like
actually
Carnival Phantasm versus the
well,
real
yeah, it was
Fate.
the closest thing would actually be something like a Carnival Phantasm versus the real thing, where it's like the format itself is changed, right? Like it's a different form, it's a different type of story overall. Um, and it's very interesting to create something like that and still have it end up being better value. Take a very special type of occasion, like how Sword Art Online is doing. But I was actually thinking about some, spin-offs that I've been thinking like that did better, such as again, Magi, Sinbad's Adventures, The Adventures of Sinbad no Boken, versus the original Magi, stuff like that. But even those were really different stories. They just had a different cast, and then they kind of ran the same sort of story. And then it turned out people liked those characters better, right? But this is a very interesting way to kind of run things. But yeah. Anyway, yeah.
You guys played Custom Robo?
Uh-huh.
Where's this going? Okay, going.
I think the reason why I kind of like Len is because like she's all pink and she's got pink guns. It's because
Okay.
in Custom Robo I used to exclusively play the Swift class, which was like this little girl robot that was super fast that ran around. And what I did was my main weapon was either like the hard knuckle, which was like, or a shotgun, and I just ran around coming to close range and blasting everyone. So it's kind of like what Len does in here. She got the P90. She goes up straight in your face with her super dash speed and shoots you until you die. That's kind of my playstyle, you know? Get in there, dude, get fast, zip around the battlefield.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Again, thank you, Toast, for reviewing.
My final thoughts. This
Yeah.
is pretty good. My the one thing I don't like about it is that practically every battle is it takes place at like sunset, where the sun's just setting, so it's got this really drab, washed out look to everything.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really like guns all that much. I'm more of a fantasy isekai type, you know, instead of a military. Give me a fancy sword and bright, vibrant fantasy world colors. This one's okay.
All right. Okay. So
I
again, thank
want to
you for
see
the.
more scenes of the giant like 8 foot tall lady walking around Japan with her comrades, because apparently the one of the groups she fought was this like group of big muscle men women, but when it turns out in real life they're short, cute high school girls. That was pretty cool.
Well, Attack on Titan Season 3 is coming soon, so...
Yeah, okay.
Speaking of 8 foot tall women, what was that one urban legend? I don't remember her name.
What?
There was just one like urban legend about this 8 foot tall women wearing white.
I'm not sure what.
It's Japanese. What's her name?
I'm not entirely sure. You'd have to look that up. But anyways, we got to move on. Again, thank you so much, Toast, for helping to review Gun Gale Online.
Hachi Shakusama.
Okay.
Sure, dude.
You guys
But anyway.
don't. You. Why don't you guys know this? What's wrong with you? Anyway.
Anyways.
You okay, dude?
All right, Toast. Thank you
Gun
very
Gale
much.
Online alternative's pretty cool.
Okay,
I can see why there's all these people with their YouTube videos saying, why is she a better protagonist than Kirito?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I saw those.
Because it doesn't take a lot.
There's not a huge bar, so to say. But anyways, thank you.
Why is Kiritsugu a better protagonist than Shiro?
Alright, we need to move on. Next on the list, next on the chopping block, I believe, will be Dark. What have you been up to?
I don't know anymore, man. How do I follow up that?
You're all Sword Art Online down?
No, I've been watching, well, no, I started watching Wotakoi,
What's the full name?
because I need something. It's just Wotakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, spoiler alert, love don't seem very hard for them. Because they're both otakus. So the basic premise is that the main character, she finds a new job, and as she's like at her new job, like getting shown around, she's like, "Oh man, I hope these people don't figure out I'm an otaku." And then what's it called? She walks past someone and she says his name, and she's like, "Oh wait, I know him. I knew him in middle school." And he's just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, are you going to Summer Comiket?" And blows her cover immediately, because they don't I don't actually know if the intention was that they hadn't seen each other since middle school, because they wind up like meeting up and like playing Monster Hunter a lot together. So I think it was just that like she didn't know he worked there. But yeah, long story short, by the end of the episode, they wind up dating, because they're like, wow, this would be pretty convenient because we're actually into the same shit and would be able to like go to events and stuff.
Okay.
And then she also finds out that like her senpai there is who was showing her around the office is like some famous cosplayer that she likes. And then I think it's like the intention is that the main two characters are together, and then that cosplayer character and Sugita's character are going to be like another pairing or something. But so far, I think it's pretty good. Its audio visuals are pretty solid. But it's always going to be jarring and weird when you legitimately see someone hold up a Nintendo Switch with actual Monster Hunter gameplay on it. And actual Monster Hunter sound effects. So
wow, what Monster Hunter game is on the Switch right now? They're in the future.
Wow, that came out like last year on this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't Cross on the Switch in Japan?
Is it?
I think so.
Yes, it's been out for quite a while, Toast.
Wow, this must be set in recent times then.
Wow, who would have thought, dude?
Oh man. Anyway,
I'm not entirely sure what to say to this.
Yeah, so getting into that, the Monster Hunter part is actually pretty fun. They do quite a bit with it. They don't ever name it for some reason, but they do like make quite a bit of reference to like stuff they're doing in the game. Like one of them will be like, "Oh, I set down a trap. I set down meat." What was the other thing that they did? It was like they're going for like the gems from the monsters, and it's actually like the end screen, and you see on his screen he's like, "Oh, I got 2 gems," and she needed 1 and she didn't get any.
Wow, how can you get 2 gems from 1 Rathalos? That's unfair. It took me.
I've had that happen.
It took me 75 tries to get 1 Rathalos gem once.
I think I've killed like 40 Odos and still don't have a gem from them. So, great times to be had. But yeah, so like that part is like kind of like another part of it. The romance aspects I really didn't get too much into, but it seems like they're going to be pretty fun. The character interactions primarily right now are pretty great because they're not like it's hard to explain since they're both being played up as like these kind of otaku degenerates. They're
Wow.
they play off each other pretty well.
Are you saying they like lollies?
So how's the balance of the interactions? Are most of them sort of like talking about like romance kind of thing, or is most of it just talking about games? Is it comedy heavy, like whatever? What's the balance?
It's not really super. There's not much comedy. It's more like, I guess the way they're kind of trying to do the comedy is through sort of situations that they find themselves in. Like Sugita's character walks up to the main guy, and he's like just looking at him. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he pulls out a switch in the middle of work. He's like, "You can't do that here." And then he points to his watch, and it's like, "Oh, it's lunchtime." It's like, you still shouldn't do that at work.
But he's on lunchtime. He can do whatever he wants in those 15 minutes.
So yeah, I mean, there's kind of that between them, him being like the non-otaku, I guess, right now. But between him and the main heroine, it's more like them doing otaku stuff that might fuel into some comedy. They mostly go through like, I guess, their character interactions to try and feel that as well in a similar way, but I feel like it's not super heavy on comedy, and it's not trying to be. But it's more like coincidences and shit to try and have like small comedic moments and stuff more than anything, and kind of like visual comedy with the way some of the characters are drawn.
Right.
There are a few scenes, especially at the end, where like they simplify the style a lot, almost in a way like if you've seen a Manchu does, but not quite as simplified. So there's stuff like that. I would say it's a pretty good balance right now. For episode 1, there was a pretty good balance of like sort of romantic qualities to the main two, on top of like having the what's it called as well? The sort of like otaku trivia moments as well. I want to see them kind of get into more. I'm hoping that they wind up doing a little bit something more than Monster Hunter, though I doubt they will, because if they got Monster Hunter, they're probably going to use that for the entire time.
What if they play God of War? This
Yeah, imagine that.
topical.
Well, they keep talking about how like the heroine plays dating sims a lot, and her thing is that she's like, I think she's a mangaka that sells her shit, or a doujin artist that sells her shit at events, but she's a yaoi artist. So
Of course she is.
yeah.
I
I
guess
hope,
the question that comes up then is that, I mean, this is a standard question that should come up in these when discussing these sorts of stuff. But how true to life? I mean, okay, ignoring the whole like setup where it's like, oh, the characters just magically get together and they're all like otakus and stuff. Huh? Like beyond that, obviously that's it's not great, but it's a forgivable like evil that has to be done because that's how these sorts of stories are made in the first place. But beyond that, how true to life is it?
I wouldn't know, Spire. I've never been in love, man.
Do you
Just a
think
cold
What's an otaku?
Spire,
I've never been an otaku. I don't even play video games.
Yeah, Spire, do you
I'm
think we
not-
play video games
we're
on
not
this
weirdos.
anime podcast?
We're not weirdos. What the fuck?
Yeah. What was wrong? How true to life it is? Not very. I mean, I think I think the coincidences aren't, like you said. I think the character interactions could be. Like, I think they're not super far-fetched. They're kind of like teetering on the, I guess, they're like walking the line of being like too casual in some senses.
What do you mean by that?
Like at the end when they agree to go out, the main guy is like, or like not even too casual. It's like too sort of like hammy. Like at the end, he's like, "Oh, I'd never make you regret, like, say that you'd regret like going out with me for a while, or shit like that." And he's like, but at the end, he adds on, he's like, "Also, next week I'll go to the convention with you and help you like unpack all your shit." And then she just like shakes his hand and is like, "You're in."
Yeah, it goes from 0 to 60 pretty quickly.
Well, I wouldn't say it's 0 to 60. It's kind of like the way the dialogue, like the dialogue itself, is kind of like cheesy. Where you're like, I don't know if I don't. It's like you can kind of tell in some cases that like these characters are being written by one person. Yeah, like it's being written by one person, so like the characters are like a little too in sync sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of like my only real complaint off of episode 1. I think it's overall like much more solid than I expected.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can kind of see that.
How does it compare to other game otaku series? Like, for instance,
For instance,
yeah. For instance, what?
Like, I don't know, what's the popular Umaru, I guess, or maybe
it's a billion times better than Umaru. Umaru isn't a real series. No, like trivia-wise, like it's actually much more solid because they're actually working with something. Like they have Monster Hunter there, so they're going to be talking about very specific things. That's where like I'm kind of concerned when they branch out from that. Like when they start talking about the dating sim stuff, it's like she talks about dating sims, but it kind of doesn't get any further than like a route sort of thing. Like they just drop like, "Oh, you always pick the right routes in those." So it's kind of hard to say off of episode 1 whether it succeeds or fails at like further trivia, but I would say it definitely succeeds pretty hard with throwing in the Monster Hunter moments. So I think that's pretty good.
Okay, that's pretty. Okay, so I guess I guess we can start continuing with last words, but it's like, do you think that you would rather see something? Do you think this is sort of a stable formula for this, or would you like to see more? I guess it's like, obviously if they could do everything well, then obviously it would be good if they did everything well. But it's like if they had to kind of play this like weird zero-sum game with regards to the process, would you prefer this sort of like cast and setting to have more sort of, I guess, trivia, or would you prefer it to kind of run the romance train a bit more solidly?
Since I only saw episode 1, it's kind of hard to say, but I think I like it the way it was off of episode 1. I think it did it well.
Okay.
I think I could do with a little bit less trivia when it's not like going to go like full, like whole hog on it.
When it's like fucking gamers like trivia kind of thing, like
like
a racing game kind of thing.
Yeah, like when it's basically just dropping the OP of Umaru again, where it's like, haha, you remember kart racing game? It's like, yeah, I've played one of those before. Got anything else for me? And then the answer is no. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
So I could do without those moments, but I think overall it's fine. Like it's okay. I feel like it's all right to have moments like that when you're going to also have the actual like super specific Monster Hunter stuff. I think if it was just those moments, I would not like it. I would be pretty upset with that, but I think overall, since it does have both, it's fine.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty good. Any last words?
Yeah, check it out. If you like Monster Hunter,
What if
no,
I don't like
don't.
Monster Hunter?
If you don't like Monster Hunter, then it'll be fine. It's not really like that much of a thing.
What if the sight of Monster Hunter puts me into a fit of rage?
Well, then you should probably stop watching anime for a while.
What if I'm a PC person and don't know what Monster Hunter?
Shit. Don't worry, you will. Just wait a few months and maybe you'll get the Port of Worlds that probably won't even have all the bonus content when it comes out. Watch that happen.
Fucking kill me. Yeah, anyways, again, thank you, Dark, for helping to review Wotaku, or Love is Hard for an Otaku, I believe. So
Yes.
check that out if you're interested. And then we're moving on to Nier.
I watched Hisomaso, or Hisone to Maso-tan, otherwise known in English as Dragon Pilot, Hisone and Maso-tan. I watched this just today because I actually we were talking about what we were gonna cover, and I was like, man, this season sucks, and I have no idea what I want to talk about. So I I just looked through the season stuff, and I saw Bones, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember covering a Bones series in the previews. But then again, I was like half out of it during the previews, so who knows. But I checked it out, and it's a Bones original, and those are usually pretty nice until they get to the second season. But you know, I'm not talking about that. And this is a pretty cute, pretty cozy little series about Dragon War.
Oh, that went into an interesting direction very quickly.
Yeah. So the basic synopsis is we have a just a typical high school after high school graduated
Question
lady.
mark.
Just your boring gal, right? And
Yeah.
she says she's always dead serious, and she upsets everybody that's around her or whatever, because she's always she thinks out loud and she says what's on her mind or whatever, and it's usually kind of blunt, to say the least. But she applies for the JASDF, which is the Japan Air Self-Defense Force, whatever. I think that's right. And she gets basically assigned to be a dragon pilot, because apparently the Japanese self-defense force has been keeping dragons in secret for the past hundreds of years, and in order to pilot one, you need to be swallowed whole by the dragon, and then you push on its guts, and then it does stuff.
It's like Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah, 100%, exactly like that.
Nice.
Does
Does it hurt the dragons?
No, not really. I mean,
They got strong guts.
yeah, they're big, strong
They're
guts.
big boys now.
How do they get out? Do they come out through the front end or the back end?
They get puked out. They get vomited out.
Nice. That's two fetishes right there.
Yeah. So, it's an interesting series. It's an out there premise, right? And yeah, it's pretty neat. It's just I feel like it's kind of just a series that's sort of, because they say the dragon chooses the pilot, right?
Oh, the one chooses the wizard, Harry.
Yeah, typical stuff.
So you're saying these dragons have specific tastes?
Yeah, and they as the series goes on, they basically the series essentially says that the whole the dragon piloting backdrop is sort of just a way for the characters to come to terms with who they are, because they say all the dragons they tend to pick people who don't really have any love for themselves, or they're sort of a blank slate. They're
So it's
they're
like
they're they're missing
Evangelion.
something in their personality, right? That they don't like about themselves or whatever. So the series is kind of just is that they're your typical accept who you are kind of thing, right?
Right.
So it's like Evangelion, but less about Shinji getting into the robot.
Sure, yeah, with it. Um, but yeah, I mean I really like this series just because it's quite nice looking. As Bones series are, although there's a little more CG than I'd like. All the jets are CG. Um, but yeah, I don't know where to start with this one, because it's really weird series. Um, but yeah,
Does each dragon have different colored guts?
uh, I don't know. I don't think I've seen the insides of the other dragons. They've only shown Maso-tan. Although
So can
they wear
I?
these helmets that make them like be able to see what's around them, because that makes sense.
So this is reminding me of stuff that's not even honestly anime related, but um, is this what's the? I mean, there are a lot of things that this could cover, right? Where it's like the obviously interactions between the dragon and the girl, right? The crew and how it all goes, and the girl and how this she kind of fits into this whole like military thing, and how this the contrast between what she's doing and what's happening in the outside world could be a thing, right? What's happening in the military base with regards to know everything else like fucking dragon lore or whatever the fuck it is, right? Uh, what if there is multiple focuses? You can say it, but it's like, what's the focus of this series?
The focus so far is definitely the interactions between the characters.
The crew members, rather, right?
Yeah, it's sort of, I wouldn't really say slice of life, but it's sort of like a comedy,
Like
right?
day to day, we're at the space and doing stuff.
Yeah, it's, like today we're doing training, and then some issue will come up where like one character is upset at something, and then the main character and the dragon have to like figure out how to help out or whatever. And then in one of the most recent episodes I watched, the one pilot, she treats her dragon more like a tool than a partner, and then that puts the dragon under a whole bunch of stress, and then it freaks out. Uh,
Right.
it
So
kind of goes out of control, and then I guess the current arc is like figuring out how to deal with this character's like inner turmoil or whatever.
Aha, I get it. Symbolism, because
Uh-huh.
the girls symbolize the inside turmoil that they have,
Who's a
like
statement if it's
inside the dragon.
sorry. Sorry.
So, like,
I apologize.
are they fighting anyone? Are they like fighting rival dragon pilots?
No.
Or just training?
It's pretty much just training. I don't think they're actually gonna fight anything, because it's like
Unless it's like an emergency, they're probably not going to do anything unless it's an
So,
emergency.
yeah,
are these Japanese style dragons or like Western
What
style
are
dragons?
they're like Western, right?
yeah, they're very Western, very
Do,
cartoony.
do you
They've
think
got
there'll
big
be a Japanese
round
style
eyes.
dragon that's like a long snake and it can swallow multiple girls to control each part?
Are you? No, I don't want to think about that. No, all the dragons are
That.
very, very cartoony. This is a very cartoony series in the first place. But yeah, they're very Western, very, you know.
So, how would you compare it to another dragon training series like How to Train Your Dragon? Does it share many of the same parallels?
I didn't watch that.
Yeah. But
Oh, okay.
but I guess how do I say this? It's like, so would you like to see it go? And I mean, I guess this is like, well, like it's somewhat continuous, but it's the actual things that are happening like in the base, like how she's doing it, it's probably relatively episodic, right?
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like there's like development, like, oh, I'm learning more about this character or this dragon, like, or rather, the characters are like, oh, I'm learning more about this guy, like, oh, we're getting along together, nice little. But the actual like, are like the incidents in themselves are relatively episodic, like they're
Yeah.
contained. Um, so I would imagine that it would the does it feel like it's getting ever like tedious, or does it keep up pretty well, or would you like to see some overarching thing happen to the
Um,
series?
I mean, it's it's episodic to the sense, right? It's got the overarching,
Mhm.
everyone needs to be training together. There's the thing of like, if you mess up your training too much, you get booted out. You can't be a
Right.
pilot anymore. Um, there's some government stuff they've got teasing in the background of like what what the actual origins of the dragons are, and what it really means to be picked by the dragon, whatnot.
Right.
But for the most part, it's mostly just it feels mostly like a comedy series, right? It's a lot of um, characters interacting with each other with comedic moments, and then uh, at the end of the episode, there's like a moral to the story, right?
Right.
Like
Like a
a
wrap up.
character's personal issue gets resolved, and everybody's happy at the end.
Right.
It feels a lot like I guess a cartoon,
Mm.
where it's just
Like a more children's style show. Like,
yeah, it does its thing in the episode, and then it moves on to the next episode where
right.
it's not like totally disconnected, but there's the episodes are relatively separate, right?
Do you think it's just gonna end like that? Like the last episode is just gonna be like, oh, there are other things that that happen, but it's like maybe they'll just like the girl will just like look up to the sky and then it'll kind of end, or do you think there'll be some sort of mini arc before everything, or not mini arc, but like the last like 2-3 episodes will just have something weird before it just ends?
It's hard to say because it's Bones original, right?
Mm.
And Bones originals are they're very volatile things, right? It can be good 1 second, and then it can nosedive into complete garbage.
Right.
Because Bones is Bones. But, I don't know. I think it'll probably continue with its comedic style throughout through most of it. I think they'll probably get a little bit serious with the whole like what it means for the dragon to choose you, and the whole all the pilots have some
Right.
part of them that they don't like about themselves, and getting over that. But yeah, I think it'll be mostly comedy throughout the entire thing. The style and just the general pacing of it so far
Mhm.
doesn't tell me that it's gonna get like super dramatic, right?
Right. That makes sense. Okay, so that's pretty good.
What
Any
I'm
last
what
words?
what I'm wondering is, what do the dragons eat? If they swallow these girls whole, do they eat human emotions or something contrived like
Um,
that?
they eat metals, they've said,
Gasoline.
and so the one thing they've said is the dragon's favorite treats are flip phones.
That's pretty good.
Nice.
That's pretty
That's
good.
very specific.
Specifically flip phones. They don't like smartphones.
Blackberries.
They like flip phones, and that's one of the jokes that they do in like the first episode.
That's pretty good. I
main,
like that
like-
sort of. I like that sort of like cute detail. I don't know.
Yeah, like the main character at the very beginning, she still uses a flip phone, right? And you know,
They eat it by accident.
yeah, the people, some of the guys on the base are like, oh, the dragon only picked you because you have a flip phone, right?
Mhm.
But then they're like, later on they do that's not the case because one of the characters that wants to pilot one of the dragons but can't, she wears like an entire necklace of flip phones and she's like, swallow me, and then he swallows her and then he eats all the flip phones and then spits her out. And it's like, well, it's not just the flip phones, right?
Right,
But yeah,
right.
it's mostly a comedy series. It's
So-
really cute.
Where do so if they eat metals and have powerful enough like digestive enzymes to dissolve such inorganic material, where do the girls go when they get swallowed? Do they have some sort of secondary stomach?
They actually wear suits specifically so they don't get dissolved in the stomach juices.
It's just like Frank's, dude.
Yeah, they wear special suits designed by a perverted suit designer.
That's how it works.
Yeah,
So if
the
it
cat.
doesn't, so
the cat's
if it
just super
doesn't
low.
dissolve in acid, does it dissolve in like rain or something? Is it it's not biodegradable? Or it should be biodegradable.
That's the opposite of
What are you talking
dissolving.
If their suits don't dissolve in like metallic dissolving acids, does that mean their suits are biodegradable in nature? That they survive it
What are you
non-biodegradable?
talking about? Biodegradable
Do you
things
know what
don't not
biodegradable-
dissolve in acid, dude.
What are you talking about?
I think are you thinking like because it doesn't dissolve in acid, that means it must dissolve in like a base?
Sure, we
'Cause
can go with
that doesn't mean that's not how that doesn't instantly mean that. Like it could just not dissolve in acid.
You know how
Like
most drag-
like those plastic containers and barrels that you melt people in, like in Breaking Bad? And how it's like a special type of plastic that doesn't get broken down by acid?
Yeah, that. Is it like
Yeah, if
that?
they spill water on it, it doesn't dissolve to either toast. So
Because I'm trying.
there's just materials that are resistant to acid.
Remember that one scene in Frank's where there was this weird acid and it got on the girls?
The Claxosaur blood,
Yeah, and it
and
started
it melts
dissolving.
their suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try and forget it every day.
So is it
I'm
kind of
gonna
like
be
that
honest.
in
This
this series?
conversation as like as a chemi, it's a little bit painful right now.
Spire, are you telling me that things designed to not dissolve are supposed to dissolve in water?
They just it's like fucking Wicked Witch or some shit. Like
It's not. He's like, I mean, I can kind of see where he's coming from, where he's thinking it's like one or the other. Like, if it doesn't dissolve in acid, does that mean it dissolves in base? But
Yeah.
also, Toast, I hate to tell you, if you touch a very strong base, it'll fuck you up almost as much as a very strong acid.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't recommend
it
doing
depends-
either.
I thought, isn't water very base in nature? Because it's not acidic.
No,
No,
Well,
bleach is very basic.
the way some people there's specific ways that some people measure it that makes it look on
Isn't
measuring
something called a
scales that-
pH scale, Spire?
pH scale sometimes is measured in weird ways that makes water seem basic if you just look at the numbers. But actually, it doesn't really matter. The water itself is pretty much considered neutral. But this is neither here nor there. Any last words, Near?
I got one more question. What kind of guts are they pushing around in the dragons to move? Because do they just sit in the stomach, or is there some sort of control ganglion in the stomach that they touch?
It seems to just be the stomach, and then there's like these weird, red orb things, that she pushes, and then those do, very unspecified things that.
Are these
Mysterious.
these weird orbs like situated in a place where their food would not touch them? Because it sounds like if they have these control globs floating around in their stomach, if you hit it with like with a, a flip phone or a sledgehammer that they eat, it could cause a dragon to jerk out of control. They're not thinking this through, are they?
You're treating this like they really went in depth to the dragon controls,
But
and
why
they're not
not?
treating this like.
I
Probably because
mean,
This
this is a
this
very
sounds really
cartoony
fascinating.
series.
The
I
way
mean,
they
it would
control
be pretty
dragons.
cool, but they just unfortunately did not think about it.
Coach, they're
not-
punching the inside of a dragon to make it move. Okay,
It's
It's
It's-
not. It's not
Oh,
the.
so it's like
Uh,
it's like when Plankton got control of SpongeBob, that kind of thing.
actually, yes.
Yes.
Actually,
That-
far too similar.
Pretty much, yeah.
Ugh.
anyways,
So if they turn off the light bulb in the dragon's brain, the dragon will become blind. Nice. That was a good episode.
Near last words.
I mean, I had one a while ago, but now I'm not so sure. Um, I mean, I'm interested to see where this goes. I really like the I really like the style of the show. It's pretty unique. Um, very cartoony. It's very simple. It doesn't, you know, it's not really what one usually expects of Bones. You know, Bones is usually known for a very detailed animation, very smooth animation. But this show seems to be kind of Bones just uh maybe taking a break for a little bit, doing something simple, very colorful, although still very unique. It's not super well animated, but it does its job. It's very expressive. It's very charming. The cast is very lovable. I don't think there's anybody in the cast really that's like, oh, I don't like this character. Although,
Right, exactly.
the current, what it's currently doing, the episodes I've watched, there's some characters that are like, you're kind of supposed to be like, well, you're wrong in your ideal right here. But you're not supposed to be like, I don't like this character or anything. They're all very likable. This show is directed by the guy that co-directed Shin Godzilla. So
Oh, that's really interesting.
maybe that'll perk your interest. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Very unique series. Very
Very under the radar too.
yeah, very much a hidden gem. As much as we use that term ironically here, I would say this is definitely something that's flown under a lot of people's radars. Maybe check it out. It's
Right.
in a season of mediocrity, it's something that was a very big, pleasant surprise for me. So check it out.
All right. Thank you for the review. And last but not least, I guess, I'm just gonna quickly cover this shit. I don't really want to talk about it. I did watch 3 episodes of it. I still don't want to talk about it. It is Dances with Dragons with the Dragons, in the proper English title for it. I really don't want to talk about this, but
Okay, we're done.
yeah. It is the official name. What is the official fucking name?
I
here?
like how you went directly after Nier, who talked about a dragon series. So you're like, hey, let me talk about this dragon series instead. Nice job.
But yeah, Saredo Tsumibito wa Ryuu to Odoru. Again, the Dance with the Dragons and stuff like that. But anyways, it was a light novel, original, created or written starting from 2003 to I believe 2008 or something like that. When the anime adaptation came out, people were putting the line on it this was the light novel that spawned the dark light novel genre, or some kind of stupid fucked up shit. So obviously my instinct was I'm going to call it bluff. Well, not that it needed to be called, because it was pretty obvious that anything bragging about that sort of garbage is
What is
not
it?
necessarily worth it.
When was this made? It says 2008, but when?
2008. I thought it was 2003, but
Really? Maybe that's. I'm looking at Wikipedia. It says
Yeah, no, you might be right. I might have seen something else.
light novel.
No.
Light novel
Light
original
novel.
run. So
Yeah,
there's another one.
the older light novel. No. Okay, so yeah, so there was a first run of it that started from 2003 to 2006, and then it got like reboot or something like that, and went from 2008 to the present day. That's how the light novel.
Berserk was written in 1989, so how can they call it the original dark fantasy light novel when Berserk did it like
Berserk's not a light novel.
23
Dude.
years earlier? Wasn't
Well,
there a
there's
Berserk
your
light
answer,
novel?
Tess.
No.
There's your answer, Tess. But anyways, moving on. The idea is that you have a couple of dudes, and they're like, "Oh man, fucking, they're all dark and edgy, and they're like mages and stuff like that." They call it like Jushiki. So essentially, like the laws of physics kind of changed, and the humans were able to channel magic. They're quote unquote like this like pseudoscience and shit like that. They like spout some kind of pseudoscience off and on, but it's not that. The idea is they're like magicians.
Are they magicians or alchemists?
Fuck you.
Jutsu. That sounds like Jutsu Shiki. That's another series that has alchemy.
Yeah,
What's
but
it called?
no, dude. So they do like Jushiki. The idea is, or I mean, it doesn't really matter. They're just using like equations or quote unquote formulas like from the physical like nature of reality or some fucking bullshit, and then they make magic, and then they fight off the dragons. So it's like dragons versus humans, and obviously they're gonna talk. It's not like it's not like a good versus evil situation. It's like two sides. They're like just duking each other out, and they'll have characters from both sides kind of situation going on.
Oh,
And
great
then
morality.
yeah, and then a peace treaty was apparently made between the two sides, but now these two guys, the main characters, are kind of working together as magicians to take various jobs. And obviously, they're going to be rolled up into this turmoil based around the peace treaty and the fight between dragons and humans, right? As be seen from the premise. Probably going to be rolled up into some sort of political drama, which does happen on and off again in the anime. And there's going to be evil, bad villain people that are going to try to pull the two together into war, or try to secure peace, or try to secure power for themselves or for the humans, or whatever it is, right? So that's all there. So yeah, it kind of runs around doing whatever the stuff is. There's already a dub out of this. I'm not entirely sure why.
Did you watch
Please
it?
stop. No. I don't know what else to say. No.
So how do they pronounce the name? How isn't this a series with the really convoluted names that no one can figure out?
What? Oh yeah. It was apparently it's supposed to be the Y is supposed to be an I, so I guess it's Gaius.
Gaius Levinus Sorel and
Yeah, Lavina Sorel. Higina Dirty Dolk Malius Ashley Buff, I think. Oh my god. By the way, this is a guy. I'm not sure why he has the name Ashley, but he does.
Did you know Ash Williams' first name is Ashley? It's a man's name.
Well, anyway.
Okay.
As for how the series goes, I mean, again, the names are not important.
Yeah, they
The
are.
sides are not important. It's just like dragons versus human stuff. There's sometimes angry dragons come in and do stuff, but again, as I said, there are bits of political intrigue. Ugh. So the way this series is like there's a whole bunch of bits and pieces of things that the writer and I guess the director and like the anime people are showing. So it's like it's like we'll have 5 minutes. They'll have a like let's say 3-4 minute segment of the main guy, the red-haired main guy, who is like a normal human magician, with his girlfriend having quiet time. Oh man, I'm worried about our future. But I love you, blah blah blah. So this like little like romance thing, but then it does some foreshadowing and whatever, right? And then it does that, and then it has like a 3-minute cut of the main human dude talking with the other main character who is like supposed to be from like a proud warrior race, blah blah blah. And obviously they start contrasting their belief systems, right? So they have a little bit to talk about that, and then there's like some action stuff going on, and then they go to politics, and then there's a little bit cut of the human guys talking about talking to the regular plebeians, and then the plebeians sometimes talk about some of the political stuff and how the city's doing, and they're like, wow, that's some foreshadowing, blah 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 blah. So that's all the parts that are going through. And at this point, you might be saying, well, Spire, what's wrong with that? There are plenty of series that kind of do not like run everything like that, but run a decent amount of that stuff, right? Like doing the, meeting, not necessarily meeting the girl back home, but it's like going through the political drama, living his day-to-day life, having a little bit of quiet time, meeting with some of the other like normal human friends, stuff like that, right? And obviously the action fantasy that's going on. Well, my problem was that this series kind of just had those things. They didn't really like. It's obviously meant to be pulled together, and the characters get rolled into it, but the beginning things are not at all kind of connected, and the way they're stitched together is also not very good. So it's like you'll just have like the guy being like, I really love you, blah blah blah, and there's this like romance part, and then it just cuts to like the political thing. Like the writer's just like, oh yeah, we just need this like political drama right now, and I'm just like, hey, I guess you need it for the development, and then it just cuts back to the characters talking, and they're like, man, we need to do this fucking like job. We need to take out this dragon, or we need to go kill this villain or mid boss or whatever. I'm just like, okay, and then they like go out, and then they start talking to some like random guy on the street, like fucking writing for a newspaper or doing like journalism thing. I'm like, I guess, and then they're like, oh man, time to fight. And then like villain comes in, and there's suddenly this expedition, and like things are just kind of getting thrown in. Like, oh, this like the writer just thinks that this thing needs to happen, but there's no coherent like focus, or there's no coherent wrap. Like, oh, they're doing this, and they're getting led towards doing this. It's more just like, oh, well, the characters are going to be doing this job. And it's like, boom, political intrigue. Like, there's political drama, dragons, humans fighting each other, like, get ready to rumble, kind of thing. And that really kind of, it doesn't piss me off necessarily, but I'm like, it's kind of whatever. And then people will probably make this excuse, right? Well, it was, I guess, quote unquote, the progenitor of its, like, dark light novel genre or whatever. But I'm just like, it's more than just a dark light novel problem. It's just a simple writing like literature problem, right? It's like the writer just can't find what to focus on. He's just like, oh man, I have this super interesting idea of dragons and humans fighting each other, but then political intrigue kind of messing everything up, and then humans kind of gray morality, and then these two guys who are fucking cool magicians with tattoos on their faces and red hair and shit. This main guy also has a hot girlfriend, and then they go out and like do stuff, and then also the main guy is super cool. Everybody knows him as he's walking down the street. Like he's just like the writer just has these ideas, and he's just throwing them at the viewer, which I really don't appreciate. And you could say to some extent that maybe that's a bit more natural in this story because the political intrigue, at the highest levels of, human nations or whatever, is supposed to be somewhat disconnected from it's supposed to be somewhat disconnected from, I want to say, the local level, right? Like what these magicians are doing. But the way that they get tied up, like they just kind of like see these villains happening, or the way that, you know, the actual like expositions are introduced in terms of like the political drama is not very good. It's just like, oh, we'll just have this cut here, and these secret in the room like generals and kings are just talking. Man, what if these dragons attack, or like what if the extreme faction does something bad to the moderate faction? Blah blah blah. I'm just like, I'm not that impressed. First of all, and second of all, is this really the best time to include this sort of cut when we kind of just want to know, we want to set up a little bit more about the characters that are going to do this stuff instead of random political intrigue that's not even going to be relevant half the episode, right? So, or like it's not even going to be relevant for most of the series until it really closes in and the main characters need to really get involved with political intrigue. So, for a quote-unquote first try at dark light novels or whatever, I'm really not impressed. And I still wouldn't be impressed if it was back in 2003. Because guess what? There was good pieces of literature that was written before 2003.
Yeah, it's
and
called
they didn't
Dot
have
Hack and Sal. Those both came out at the same time.
Go ahead. But yeah, I just was not impressed by what this dark light novel, whatever, did. And this, I guess, is why you don't let fanfic writers write stuff like this, right? But I mean, what?
Are you sure that like it wasn't just so dark that it
It just,
blacked out part of your memory? Like,
yeah, it was too adult for me. but yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about it. There were things that the writer wanted to do. They weren't like super creative things, but there were like certainly things that could have had value. Again, like the political intrigue, like the two guys like wandering through, like being all cool and tattooed up and waving their swords and using their magic, you know, stuff like that, magical formations, blah blah blah. And that's all, you know, fine and dandy. But you gotta find a time and place for it, right? You gotta have the focus. You gotta be like, I'm gonna develop this, and I'm gonna lead them over here, and then this is why the political intrigue matters. I'm not gonna have random cuts of political intrigue in between the boyfriend and the girlfriend fucking or whatever. That's not a thing. It just needs to have focus. And yeah, so pretty mediocre.
I'm not gonna lie. The moment you started talking about this series, I went to lay down on my bed.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to lay down on my bed when I watched this too, but unfortunately, I was not given the blessing of that. Anyways,
so what series would you compare this to, and would you recommend it?
I would not recommend it. As for what I would compare it to, what do I even compare it to, man? Honestly, it seems more like the modern, like, Chinese power fantasy stuff that I've been seeing recently.
Which one's your favorite? My favorite is Battle Through the Heavens. Even though
No, I was talking about like the actual like anime adaptation that fucking snuck through. The recent one about the fucking monsters that eat time. It kind of reminded me of that.
the heck is that
But,
series?
okay.
Was that the one with like they were using like various historical figures to fight these time monsters, like Sherlock Holmes and Lupin or something? Or am I making this up?
No.
So it's like a worse fate. Grand Order specifically.
Blood of Wars, I think. Blood of Wars.
Ew.
No. It's not. It's not Blood of Wars. It's like something else. But it's like it was one of those recent Chinese series that was essentially like you had these two guys like trying to fend off people who like made contracts with these monsters that like reverse time or something like that. But in exchange, they like ate away at your time, which is essentially your age, and turned you back into like a fetus and killed you essentially or something like that. It was weird.
So like a reverse Death Note where if you had the Shinigami eyes, you could see how long you have left to live? Or is it more like Chrono Crusade, where every time Chrono turned to his demon form, Charlotte kept dying?
I guess it's the latter, but again, it was kind of whatever. The powers itself, I mean, the powers itself created an excuse for a lot of flashbacks and narration. But other than that, it wasn't very impressive overall this year. Yeah. Anyways, that was all I had to say. If anybody has any questions, I'll take them now. But that's pretty much what I got.
Is it
Anybody?
is it your is it the best Chinese like thing you've ever read? What's your favorite Chinese thing that you've seen and or read?
There are a couple, but I don't want to talk about them here. Yes. What Cecile said. Chronos Ruler, I believe, is the name. Yes. Thank you. But yeah. Anyways, we're done with that, and
Yeah,
we'll be moving
podcast
on.
over. All right, news.
We'll be moving on to our news, and afterwards, again, shoutouts and callouts. So we'll be kind of moving through it quick if we can, although that never happens. A lot of company news today, or this week. First, Kadokawa established a new animation studio named Enki on April 4th, and it began operations on Friday. Kadokawa invested 53%. Pachinko and Pachislock game machine maker Sammy invested 40%. Anime holding company Ultra Super Pictures, or USP, invested 5%. Engi will work with all three companies to create animation for television and theatrical anime, Pachinko Pachislock machines, and game promotional videos. So yeah, they kind of.
There's good. Yeah. Are they finally going to work with Psy Games to make the Shadowverse anime or something?
I mean, I will guess
it sounds like.
I'm not sure, but I would guess the side games would just contract it to something else. I'm not sure if they would necessarily contract it to Engi, but we'll see. So that's how. Next, Tokyo Otaku Mode co-founder and corporate officer Takuya Akiyama clarified with Anime News Network on Friday that the company has reorganized and restructured, and co-founder and chairman Tomohide Kame is still with the company, after certain reports surfaced that he had resigned from the company. So there were some weird things going on with like American Japanese branch swapping. But yeah, they were just making some corrections in how the restructuring was working out. So that's that. And final piece of company news. Media company Broccoli announced on Thursday that it is developing 3 new projects aimed at women, including one that is a partnership with Shueisha. Broccoli and Shueisha are partnering to jointly develop a new multimedia project with plans for an anime, consumer game, and app. HappyNet is also involved in the planning for the project. The second project is a crossover project, Classic Stars, which Broccoli announced on March 15th. Japanese composer Noriyasu Agematsu is in charge of the project's original planning. Aria Entertainment's cross-media division's new brand Unison and King Records are also involved in the project. Broccoli is known for its media franchises, DG Carrot, Galaxy Angel, Aquarian H, ZX Zillions of Enemy X, Utano Prince Sama, and Kamigami no Asabi. All of
Those
which
are all
inspired
super old
anime
series.
adaptations. So yeah, a lot of like things aimed at women too. So that's good. Although they do have their fingers in like other jars, such as different like visual novels and games and stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. Next. This is an update on the developer Steam thing for visual novels, right? Manga Gamer, Sekai Works, Neko Works, Ubisoft, Hunya Pop, and other game developers and publishers reported over the weekend that digital game publishing platform Steam has contacted them regarding the recent notices they have received about publishing adult content on Steam. According to the developers, the new notice stated that developers and publishers should, quote-unquote, disregard the previous notice, and that the games will be re-reviewed. Manga Gamer added that Steam said it will provide Manga Gamer with quote-unquote specific feedback if there are concerns about the game's content. Manga Gamer previously shared part of Steam's alleged previous notice, referring to the company's Kindred Spirits on the Roof game. In this statement, they say, we've discovered pornographic depictions in your product, Kindred Spirits on the Roof. This is a violation of our rules and guidelines for content that can be distributed on the Steam platform. We won't be able to distribute the product on Steam as long as it includes pornographic depictions. Blah, blah. So yeah. ANN also did reach out to Steam operator Valve before the publication of the original article last week, but the company has not responded or issued a public statement as of present. What do you guys think?
Are they gonna take down Melty's Quest? It's still $20.
But yeah, they probably responded to some weird like, you know, pushback, and obviously the GOG news and stuff like that. But it's interesting how they're just like, by the way, we're still gonna slap you on the wrist, but it's not. It's probably not gonna work, right? It's like the moment they back off, they're like, well, this is okay, I guess.
So
they kind of lost it all.
How did VR Kanojo even get on Steam in the first place? Is what I want to know.
how did Melty's
Every
Quest
time I
get
hear
on
about
Steam?
this, I'm like, how did VR Kanojo get on here?
I
It's
don't know.
literally a VR porn.
Yeah.
Maybe
Um,
they
'Cause
didn't know
paid
it
the
was.
fee. They paid the fee, and Steam has no. Steam
Morals.
doesn't look at like what is going on to the marketplace, so that shit
Yeah.
can be up for months before
They
go,
just
Yeah.
wait a minute,
It's like,
this is a porn game? Wow, we didn't know. It's like we don't even
wow,
look at what's
front page
put
of
onto
Steam,
our,
yeah.
what's
Yeah.
being put onto our platform. Crazy. I think
So
Steam's full
Yeah.
of shit.
they're
Yeah.
basically saying
No, they definitely are. They want to get their money, and then they're like, all right, time to do damage control.
Yeah.
so they're
But
basically saying
I
like,
think
remove
I-
remove this content, but then on the they can say on the Steam page to add in 18 plus content, please visit this site and download this file. So as long as it isn't
I don't think they
specifically-
can do that.
Can they? Damn.
I think that's against Steam toss.
Goodbye, Melty's Quest.
Because didn't someone already try and do that a while ago, and they got in trouble with Steam for that, for external patches?
So we'll never get a Nekopara Volume 3.
No, I mean, I think what'll happen is it'll all move to GOG, which I think I would like to see a lot more than them strip shit and then put it on Steam.
Or maybe
Yeah,
it'll just all go to Manga Gamer.
move to GOG, or maybe some other aggregation sort of site, or
Yeah.
Manga Gamers and other like second project might just like set up some sort of like more easier back end, or sorry, easier front end, and just kind of push it to people, and it'll maybe work out in the whole like marketing thing. Honestly, it's more about just like getting the word out there more than it is about the specific platform at this point. So it's just like GOG is just it's just an easier way to go about things, but they could technically do it manually, but it's more about just again word of mouth.
Shout out to Otaku for having
No.
Soccer Gamer for $5.
All right. Anyways, moving on. This is one of the more favorite parts of people's days. Not really. We are covering top-selling light novels by series in Japan, first half of 2018. This list covers sales surveyed from November 20th, 2017 to May 20th, 2018. Here we go. Are you ready? All right.
No.
Number one. Estimated sales around 527,000. Overlord. Very good.
Wow, what's Overlord?
Can we not talk about this? Number two, coming in at 400,000. ReZero. Number three
Wow,
at
what's
39.
ReZero?
Shut up. Number three, 391,000. The Ryuo's work is never done. Or Ryuo no Shigoto.
Is that the one with like the lolly? What is it, shogi?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
All right.
Number four, 353K. The Irregular at Magic High School, or Maho Koko no Retose. Number five, 336K. Sword Art Online Progressive. Number six, 313. Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World, or Konosekai o Shufuku, or yeah. Number seven, No Game No Life. Number eight, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Pretty hot. Number nine.
I'm waiting for the anime on that.
Yeah. Number 9, Sword Art Online. Number 10, Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody. Been very popular recently. One of the top selling / top viewed isekai genre stuff out there. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's that exists.
Wow, it's a sad day when Japan doesn't have an isekai as their top light novel series.
All right. Top selling manga in Japan by series 2018 first half. Pretty obvious list, this one. Number 1, 3 million. 110,000. One Piece. Coming in hot, just below 3 million, is Attack on Titan at number 2. Number 3, Seven Deadly Sins. Number 4, Haikyuu. Number 5, My Hero Academia. Number 6, Kingdom. Number 7, Black Clover. Number 8,
Really?
coming
Gross.
in at just below 2 million, Promised Neverland. Number 9, Tokyo Ghoul Re. And number 10, One Punch Man. And both these sources are from, as always, Oricon. What do you guys think?
One Piece will never get dethroned ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a generational shift to dethrone One Piece.
One Piece is what, 20 years? You know, like most artists nowadays. I mean, I can remember the My Hero Academia or Boku no Hero Academia artist. He sent in a fan art to Oda, like way back when he was still a kid, and now he's got his own like series. That's the new generation should have taken Oda by now, but no, he won't be topped.
Yeah, it's very big. Anyways, moving on to people news. Number 1, voice actress Kanemoto Hisako announced on her blog on Saturday that she is taking a hiatus from her voice acting activities so she can study abroad. Kanemoto plans to return in March 2019. So Kanemoto made her debut in anime in the Sound of the Sky series in 2010, playing a protagonist, Kanta Sorami. She has also voiced roles in such anime as Ika Musume. These fucking like series that Anime News Network is listed. Jesus Christ, I don't even want to talk about these. So she did Ika Musume. Anyways,
That's, I mean, didn't she do a Kotaro-san? Or am I thinking of someone else?
she did a lot of stuff.
I
But anyways, she kind of wanted to explain that she wanted to see a broader world and also broaden her outlook on life. And since she was interested in studying abroad, she decided to take this step. So they're looking for some replacements in current series that she's in. But anyways, best of luck to her and her studies abroad.
Does this mean will be the third time Erina from Shokugeki has had her voice replaced? Because first was Risa Tanedo. Now it's Sakamoto. Now she'll be replaced again.
Maybe, I'm not sure. Musician Komi Hirose, second piece of news. Musician Komi Hirose, at age 52, revealed on his Facebook on Monday that her contract with the agency Office 30 ended on May 21st, so she is leaving to start a new agency titled Muse Endeavor Inc. So, but here's the twist. Office 30 posted a note on its website on Thursday alleging that Hirose, or whose real name is Mami Ishii, had not run the announcement by Office 31st, and that its representative director, Yoichi Hirano, owns the rights to her stage name. The agency asserted that she is not allowed to use the name Komi Hirose, and is considering legal action against her for doing so. Komi Hirose's official blog announced on behalf of the agency that she'll take a hiatus as an artist. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Again, she's the writer composer for stuff like the Cardcaptor Sakura, OPED, as well as the Kaku Hitman Reborn anime. So that's a little bit weird. I think honestly, they're probably being just like a little bit petty, right? Because it's like she is probably just kind of like fuck it. But then this name thing is a little bit wonky, so to say.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's no end game. Like,
Yeah.
we own your stage name. Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh,
Everyone
okay.
now knows it's not me, though. So,
Yeah, exactly.
what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah. Anyways, next piece of news. An anonymous former Niji no Conquistador idol group member known as A-san, at the age of 22, sued Pixiv, Dear Sage, and Pixiv's parent company, Animate, for damages due to alleged sexual harassment. Pixiv's representative director, Hiroaki Nagata. Nagata responded with a libel lawsuit against A-san and her lawyer. A-san made 3 allegations against Nagata. In December 2015, while she was a minor, he allegedly advised that she take a break for a trip to Kyoto, as she was considering leaving the group to go to college. She thought she would go alone, but against her wishes, he went with her and stayed in the same hotel room with side-by-side futons. Shortly after, she consulted him about wanting a part-time job as her salary from Niji no Conquistador was low, but the company would not allow her to hold another job. He offered to pay her to massage him, and she took the job for about half a year until spring 2016, during which time he paid her 5,000 yen per 1 hour full body massage. Asan told the BuzzFeed news website in an article posted on May 25th that she did not want to take the job, but she felt she could not refuse, and she needed the money so as to not be a burden on her parents. Nagata's lawyer acknowledged the veracity of both these claims. Finally, this past January, after she had left the group, Asan alleged that Nagata asked her to come back for an event as a guest. Rather than asking her to stay at a hotel in Tokyo, he asked her to stay with his family at his apartment. While she was staying there, Asan claims that she found a hidden camera in the bathroom. Nagata's representation denies this claim. So, yeah. I thought that.
Nice.
Yikes.
Oh, apparently this person is married too, so it's like, yikes. I don't know what to say.
Boy.
Don't do this shit, guys. It's very unfortunate that she was pushed into the situation, but it's also not good that he, did this to like set this up, right? Like that's not a thing. So again, very unfortunate.
Anyone want to make $50, by the way?
Yeah. By the way, full body massage. By the way. Anyways, next.
I'd do it.
Yeah.
Police. Fuck.
Police from Tokyo's Itsukaichi station announced on Thursday that they arrested a 25-year-old unemployed male resident of the Nishiarai Honcho neighborhood in Tokyo's Adachi ward on Tuesday for allegedly sending death threats to Nogizaka 46 idol group member Mai Shiraishi over Twitter. According to authorities, the suspect Daiki Katsumara allegedly sent death threats to Shiraishi over Twitter multiple times from December 2015 to this month, threatening to quote-unquote catch and strangle her. Katsumara denied the allegation. Don't do that shit, my friends. It's not a good way to go.
It was just my friend. Please don't ban me from airports.
And the last piece of news is newspapers in Japan reported on Sunday that actress, singer, and dancer Yukiji Asaoka, real name Yuki Kato, passed away on April 27th at the age of 82. Her close relatives held a funeral. While the cause of death is unknown, Asaoka was seeking treatment for Alzheimer's disease. In anime, she voiced Matsuko in My Neighbors Are Yamada's, Tanokata in Tale of Princess Kaguya, and Uturp and The Mouse and His Child. So condolences to her family and friends. And yeah, that'll be it for the People News. Now we move on to shoutouts and callouts. Everybody gets one shoutout, one callout, and that shoutout can be anything you desire. Just shout it from the rooftop, something that you feel good about, something that you want to praise, whatever. And callouts are the exact opposite, something that you want to insult, flame, make fun of, blah, blah. And again, as I said, everybody gets one shout out, one call out. But we start with you, Toast.
I was just about to call you out to start, but okay.
My
shout out is to P-chan.
Okay.
All right.
You're pretty cool. Did you know that Solid Snake used a P-chan to destroy a Metal Gear? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. What's your call out?
My call out is the fact that I will not be able to attend the podcast on the 5th, the 7th, and the 19th.
None of which are Saturdays, by the way. ...
I'm done.
Anyways, Near. Shout out to callouts, please.
You're going out of order. It should be dark.
What?
There was an order?
There's no order.
If we're going
There's
by
never
order,
been an order.
if we're
Pretty
going
sure
by
I went
or-
first like last week.
If we're going by
Last
order
time.
of this podcast, it was me, Dark, Near.
That's
Fire.
not. We've never done that. We have
Well, we should do
literally
it
never
now.
done that.
Dark, what's your shout out call out?
What? Wait. Am I going? Am I not going? Fire, you be the one.
Just go, Dark.
I wasn't prepared. My call out is to this season because it's poopy, and I can't think of anything else that I was angry at this week. Even though there were a lot of things, but I don't remember anything in particular.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna shout out anything. I don't know.
There's
What was
nothing to
good?
shout out yet.
What was it?
What's your favorite gun? My
The Vector,
Wow, Ryuu.
which I still don't have it in Girls Frontline. So
My favorite gun
call that the Girls Frontline,
is the EBR.
even though it has a good roll system, but still.
Okay. Nier. Shoutouts, calls, please.
Yeah. Shit. Shoutouts to fucking yeah. Shoutouts to I don't know. EDF. I've been playing EDF. EDF's pretty fun. Fun game. Yeah. I don't know. Callouts to Callouts to Fate Grand Order, because it's running the worst fucking event in the history of mobile games right now. It's not fun.
Why not? Don't you like Lost Belt?
I'm playing NA, dude.
Oh, ew. What's NA doing right now?
NA is doing Go West, which is awful. It's not fun at all.
Oh, is that the one with what's her name? The naked priest lady.
Yeah, the
I'm
one
not
where
gonna
you have
pronounce
to
her name.
farm. You have to farm quests to get currency, and you have to spend the currency to go on the quests, which is fucking terrible. It's a shit event. I hate it, but I'm doing it anyway.
Do you
Yeah.
still have Skaha?
I lost my fucking JP account, so no.
Then why bother living?
Sure.
Shit.
Okay. Anyways, thank you for your shoutouts and call out. I guess my
Inspired, what's your shout out and call out?
why, thank you for asking. My shout out is honestly to like let's see this. Okay. My let's see. Do I really want to say this? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
No. I don't actually want to do that one. Okay, so my shout
Oh,
out is
do it.
Wow, coward.
just to tuna mixture because it has good proteins, and I'm slowly dying inside by eating too much chicken right now because I'm in a cutting phase of my diet. But tuna is nice. I like fish. That's really good. And also
What's your favorite fish?
my favorite fish, it would probably have to be Alaskan pollock because they can do so much stuff with it. But that's Alaskan pollock or mackerel. But that's neither here nor there. But again, thank you for that sort of thing because I want more protein without having to die inside. But that's that. And my call out is honestly to so Crunchyroll released had license and they put Kyoka on their site recently, as some of you might know. People are responding well to it. They're not like, oh, this is garbage or anything. They're just like, oh, this is really beautiful. Like this, like all this stuff is happening. Like it's really good, and that's fine. What I would not like is for people to lionize it. It's still one of my most favorite series. Period. Like across any like Japanese animation media or light novel, whatever stuff. It's still one of my favorite sort of forms and or series rather. And I still think it was one of the best series of 2012. But I don't want people praising it, I want to say, for the wrong reasons, as sort of pretentious as that sounds. But I don't want people to be like, wow, it's so lively and active and like stuff is really fucking jiving in that series or some like really weird shit.
Dude, I lost my phone, and he crawled out of my screen and found it for me.
Yeah, to solve my mystery for me.
Oh no, my phone fell into this dragon's mouth. What do I
But-
do?
But yeah, I don't want people to lionize a series and make false assumptions about false like sort of claims about it, because then when people call it out, like there's no way I can defend it, and it kind of detracts from what people think of the series. It's a good series. It's just not like fucking like every like
It's not the
series.
best directed series in the world.
It's
you kidding
not,
me?
It's not like Evangelion and Cloud mixed into one or anything like that. It's
Whoa,
still
whoa,
a masterpiece
whoa.
and it's all right. But it's not like let's calm down a little bit here is what I want to say to those people that are putting out all this stuff, because when people, as they will, as most, people reviewing literature or media or anything really do, when people clap back, this time I can't do anything about it. And I like Kyoko. I want to keep praising it. I want to be like, recommend it to people. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, Kyoko is like the Evangelion of this generation. Like, no, right? So please just keep it down. That's all I'm asking. Just keep it down.
Okay, so
I already started my petition for season 2. Like,
It's too late, yeah.
Aspire.
what?
Evangelion plus Conad. I think the series you're looking for is Darling in the Franxx.
You mean ReZero?
Shut the fuck up.
Oh my god. Anyways, that'll be the constant shout outs. And thank you everyone so much for listening in, both the stream viewers here and the listeners out there. Again, if you like what we do, we stream our live recording of the podcast every other Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about the latest and greatest in anime and manga, visual novels, light novels, web novels, all other forms of Japanese animation media, and much, much more. So check us out here. Check us out or give us a follow here. Check us out on our social media, on Facebook and Twitter at 4PlayerAnimecast. That is our handle, both starting with the number 4. And check us out on our website. I know I haven't updated it. I apologize. If you need to get back on that, I'll be doing that in 1 or 2 weeks when I'm fucking through the gauntlet. So I'll be doing that. This podcast in itself should be up pretty soon on Twitch and YouTube. So check us out here. Next episode will be the preview show. That's around when all the episodes 10, 11, 12 are coming out. Then we'll cover it then. Then the podcast after that, we should have enough time. Hopefully some episodes 1 will be coming out and we can take a look at that, so it'll be nicely timed. And yeah, that'll be that. Just check us out then. I don't think I'll be able to upload the preview show onto YouTube unless we have no trailers. So I'm trying to think about that, whether we want to have trailers anyways and just not upload it to YouTube or whatever. But I'll talk with the guys over here and we'll make a decision pretty soon. So yeah, see you later. Till next time. Okay.